African in the world. That new African showed that after all, the black man is managing the whole world.
So, as the purpose was discovered, then you got to the Americas were also discovered.
A time of gold.
Welcome back to another CruiseLine episode. This is your boy King. I'm Fo.
Welcome. It's your man Nana out here, aka Juice. Let's go.
And today we got a very special guest in the building, man. We got Kansas City Fashion himself, JG. Whoa.
Thank you guys for having me. It's an honor to be on the CruiseLine podcast.
Man.
Let's do this, baby.
Let's do it. I'm so excited. Like I was just telling you off camera, it's been 3 weeks since we've been back in the studio. You know, we've all been busy. It's been a hiatus of different events and stuff like that. So we needed to take a break. We apologize. Because it was last week we were at Kev's birthday, and
Monarch,
and then one of the guys was like, "Bro, you know I watch every Sunday. What happened this Sunday?" I'm like, "Man, we have to lay low for a little bit, breathe. We have to breathe. You know what I mean? Especially
take it easy.
being in school and everything." But anyway, aside that, man, the man of the show's in the building. There's a lot of Kansas City events coming, but before we get into that, we want you to introduce yourself to the CruiseLine family. Tell them more about JG, what got JG into Kansas City fashion or fashion in general, and yeah, let's hear the whole nine, man. Let's do it.
Absolutely, man. I want to thank you guys, the CruiseLine podcast, King, Nana, my guys,
sir,
man.
Yes, sir.
I'm really honored to be here. I've been watching you guys move. You guys have one of the best movements going on.
Thank you.
I say
Thank you.
KC,
We're humbled.
Metro. I know you guys, Lawrence and KU, but really KU gets lumped into the KC. And there's only a few people doing things and putting themselves out there, which is hard to do.
Right,
You know, because when you put yourself out there, you put yourself out there for criticism.
Everything. Everything. The negative energy and everything, man. We're humbled, man. We're glad you're here, and it's always good to connect with creatives. So always meeting somebody who's also doing something for the city and the community and making sure that the fashion game's growing, man.
Right.
You know, and we're contributing to that. So
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Like, tell us more about yourself. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Well, my name's JG. I'm originally from Toronto, Canada. Moved to Kansas City as a young man, probably about 11, 12 years old. Kind of went on a crazy ride in my life. That might have to go for a whole separate podcast. But long story short is from being a kid, had a whole bunch of things happen, good, bad, in between, a lot of life experiences, trials and tribulations. But about 4.5 years ago, I got invited to a fashion show called Fashion Honors Autism. And it was this guy named Joshua Bolin. I was at this networking event, really nice guy, really like sharp dude. He came up and complimented my shoes. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, it's kind of random, but like, I like that. He's like, hey man, those are some sharp shoes. Like, are you into fashion? I was like, well, you know, not really, but like I can be. I like it, you know, but I don't know about real fashion. I never went to school for that or anything. So I was like, man, you know, we started talking. He's like, yeah, I started this fashion show organization where he's like, I have autism, but he's extremely high functioning. You would never know it.
You can't tell. It's on the low spectrum.
He's so smart. He's so smooth, very sweet guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, I wanted to do something where he's like, I've been fashion. He's like, he's been modeling and stuff. He started his own organization where he gets kids with autism to walk in the show, and he builds their confidence, and he teaches them how to walk and how to pose.
That's good, man.
And
Shout out to you, man.
Yeah,
Yes,
Joshua
sir.
Bolin, Fashion Honors Autism, one of the
Yes, sir.
goats, man.
That's dope.
And
Does it still go on?
host every year, and I'm the MC every year now. And that was the cool part is like I went my first time watching, and I fell in love with the event and the cause and what they were doing. And I was like, that was my first fashion show.
Right.
The funny story about that is that me and one of my best friends named Wes Hillfiker, who now lives in China, great dude.
Right.
But we got invited, and we're like, okay, what do we wear to a fashion show?
Yeah,
Like
how do you show up? You got to represent.
Yeah. So we're like Googling things, and I'm seeing a lot of color. You know, I'm like popping pieces, like bold type looks. So I'm like, God, I was like, Wes, we gotta step it up here. So I had like a teal shirt with a brown vest and a hat from my grandpa that was like, had like a feather in it. Like,
You got a picture of that?
I do.
We'll
put the picture up. We'll put the picture up. My buddy was wearing big colors too. So we're like, we got this. We're going to go to our first fashion show. We're wearing all these colors. We walk up, and it's all glass outside the venue, and every single person in the venue is wearing black black tie, like all black suits with white shirts and black tie and everything. And we
you
were like,
popped in.
we just showed up and we're like, is that the place we're supposed to be with all
Like,
the black
wait,
ties?
with all this color, hold on now. Wow.
So we felt goofy, but we walked in
Yeah.
and we owned it. And you know what? We got so many compliments. So many people came up and introduced themselves.
Right.
We met so many people. Like I said,
Right.
it was such a fun experience. My
Right.
first fashion show. So we just watched.
What year was this?
This was like 2019.
Wow.
2019. Yeah, pre-COVID.
Wow.
Yeah,
Right
pre-COVID.
before. Yeah.
And I fell in love with it because of the cause. And then it was cool to see models getting up there and doing what they love
Right.
and the music going with it too. I was like, I've seen it on like Instagram and, videos,
Real
but I
life.
was like, never seen it in real life. I was
Yeah.
like, this was, because I used to go to a ton of networking events
Right.
or charity events,
Right.
but they're fun, but they're boring,
They're
because
boring.
it's just like,
Yeah.
you're just doing whatever.
Right.
This was like, there was
Organized.
a reason, it was like a performance even. And so we fell in love with it. And I was like, Josh, I got to help you with this. I was like, I want to be involved. What can I help with? So I would help him promote his show. And,
Right.
like I was like, what can I volunteer with? Like, what do you need help with? Next thing you know, I was like, for the next year, I got selected as the MC. And that was
Wow.
my first time being an MC for a big event. I've done
Wow.
smaller stuff, and even like in college and all my life, I've been the one to usually give speeches or toasts or something because I always loved public speaking.
Right.
But this was my first time doing like a 400-person event where I'm
Right.
like the actual MC.
All
And-
eyes on you.
Yes. And that's when I really fell in love with that. And I was like, I want to master this craft. And every MC gig I do, I practice at home in the mirror by myself, just wherever, because no matter how good you're at, you guys know with what you do and stuff. It's like,
yeah, you
practice
always got to
makes
get
perfect.
better. Yeah. Wow. That's so dope, man.
Yeah.
And then you would say that was the birth of what? So once you did that fashion show, you were like, wow, I actually love fashion. I love the whole idea of it.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you love the direction that Kansas City was moving. Because what got you to just even start Kansas City fashion?
So I love that event, and I was like, you know what? I love this. I'm going to start going to every event in town that's a fashion show. So I would just buy tickets, and I would just show up to every single fashion show in town. And I'm on Instagram, and I've been wanting to create like some sort of Kansas City based page for a long time. I had this vision in my head, but I didn't know what it was going to be. And next thing you know, I was like, I found Kansas City fashion was available, and I couldn't believe it. And I was like, I got to lock this up.
You would have thought somebody
Yes.
already did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got Kansas City Fashion. I'm like, you know what? This is going to be a page dedicated to supporting the fashion community and just promoting the local models, designers, even non-fashion related people. Because in my opinion, everyone is fashion.
Hell yeah.
Even if you're
Everyone.
wearing
Everyday wear.
you could be wearing a Bass Pro T-shirt and
Yeah.
a cowboy hat.
Yeah,
That's fashion.
That's fashion.
You could
It's
be
your
wearing,
style.
Dior or
Yeah.
some Alpha Gang looking
Right,
fresh,
right.
and that's fashion.
Right.
So I'm like, everyone should be represented. Everyone should be included. And I was like, let me just do this. So in the beginning, it was just supporting everyone else, like supporting the community, going to every event. And then I started getting a little bit of a following, and people would be like, hey, do you want some free tickets to do a post? Or do you want to like come backstage and see how we do
Right.
things? So next thing you know, I'm getting involved behind the scenes. I'm involved with like production, and I'm like, this is cool. And I would just volunteer and help with so many fashion shows. And then next thing you know, I would like give suggestions here or there or stuff that I thought would go well. And then they wouldn't necessarily take my advice, and then it would go how I said it would.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, it's like, well, that's their event. They get to do what they want to do. And it's kind of like, well, if you think you're so smart and you could do all these things, you got to put up or shut up.
Do it yourself.
So I was like, screw it. I'll just do it myself and host my own fashion show because no one said I could and no one said I couldn't.
Right.
So I was like, hey, nobody asked for me to host a fashion show, but I said, screw it. I'm going to go ahead and pay for the venue myself, reach out to local designers myself, reach out to like exactly what you guys did.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to do my own fashion show and no one can tell me what to do.
Right.
They can't tell me what type of models to use.
Yeah.
They can't tell me how to do it, where to do it, whatever. So my thought was, I want to be fully inclusive. I want all the ethnicities to be included.
Right.
All, everyone, like it doesn't have to be like old school back in the day used to be tall, skinny.
Right.
And that's okay. If for tall, skinny people, that's great. I still want to represent them too.
Right. But there's other models.
Yes. And my thought is,
huge. Yeah.
if you're in the crowd and you're not tall and skinny,
You're going to be.
yeah, you want to see people like you
In the crowd.
in your skin
Relatable
color
fashion.
and your like people you relate to.
Right. Yep.
So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do my own fashion show. No one can tell me who to use as far as models. No one can tell me anything. And we're just going to do it ourselves. And the first ever fashion show we ever did on our own was actually the first ever Halloween fashion show. That was our first dabble into hosting like our own event where we produced it from top to bottom. That's why this Halloween fashion show was so special to me. We'll get to that.
So was that
What year was that?
basketball
So
one?
that would have been, so I think if I started it all in like 2019, 2020, 2021 was the first Halloween fashion show. And then it was at actually Society in their Scarlet Room.
Scarlet Room.
And, you know, that's like the
In
side.
the Red Room, yeah.
Yes.
We just had
How
a
did you
part.
pull that off?
So we had a connection up there. We used to go there all the time.
I'm
And
saying
so,
like the setup.
so we took that like stage area where there's like the booths with the cool like lighting on the ceiling and stuff. And we just put a curtain across the whole thing and then just had like a mini like wooden stage, probably like 8 feet long.
yeah.
And we just put it in there. And the room capacity was 150. And we ended up having like over 150 people there. So we had like, we reached the capacity. So people had to go sit in the Society side and they were able to play it on the video.
Oh, okay.
So that they could see it.
Right.
Because we kind of felt bad. I was like, but
they got to see it too. They
Yeah.
came for your stuff.
right.
Yeah.
They ended up being able to just come in because they were being a little like extra precautious
Right,
with
right,
the
right.
thing. And then, you know, people come and go. So we were able to get everyone in eventually. But in the beginning, they were like, well, we got to be careful. But it was a hit, man. People had fun. It
Wow.
was just like, and what I loved about it is like, it was like our first jump into hosting our fashion shows, which was perfect because it was just costumes, no designers. It was like a fun environment, high energy, just, you know, quick, like maybe 30 minutes, but the whole party was a couple hours because
Yeah.
before and after people are having fun.
Right.
And we actually had like some Sporting KC people come to the first one and everything. So we loved it. We had an incredible time. And then straight after that, we went into the Christmas fashion show 2 months later.
Wow.
And that was our first time doing designers and doing the whole thing. We did that at the Kansas City Hotel.
Okay.
And that one had like 400 people. That was like our first
Wow.
like
Yeah,
blowout, like one of the best
Right.
still to this day
Right,
memories.
right. Wow.
And ever since there, it's just
Wow.
been up and we
Yeah,
haven't
yeah,
stopped
yeah.
since, you
Right,
know,
right,
and
right,
so
right,
it's
right.
been a beautiful
Man, we're
journey.
happy for you, man. It was good
dope.
to see because our first experience was the one you had at Operation Breakthrough, which I actually enjoyed. Like I had heard about you and the events that were going on, but I had never been to one. And I told him, I was like, yo, they doing one on this day and date. Let's just pull up. Let's not even say we're coming. Let's
Right.
just, you know, show up and then enjoy the show. And we did. And like we met so many people, a lot of familiar faces over there too, and just the whole packaging. You had the food trucks, you had some
Yep.
food trucks out there
was
too.
dope.
That was really dope.
Yeah.
That was very smart too, you know. So just watching that be done in the city, because like you said, not a lot of things are going on in Kansas City fashion, but there's a lot of fashion going on in Kansas City. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And even Fashion Week this
Right.
year to me was the best one that I have seen compared to, you know, the other ones that they were doing. But then it means that it's getting better and better, and probably we're contributing to that because they're probably seeing like, yo, like there's things going on and there's models, there's designers, there's so many creative people in the city, but there's no system. You know
Right.
what I mean? So it's just wonderful to see everybody who's playing their part, man. Big ups, man. That's
Thank you,
tough, man. That's real tough. That's real tough.
I think the breakthrough was the first time we met, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've been following each other.
Yeah,
I've
but
been seeing
yeah,
what you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
were moving, and you guys had a bunch of my friends on the podcast. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah,
like these guys.
Yeah,
they're,
yeah.
they're doing something. Because here's the thing. Here's the truth. There's like less than 10 organizations in Kansas City or the surrounding area hosting fashion shows.
Yeah.
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 And it's like, because it's so much work, it's so much time,
Yeah.
it's so much energy, it can be profitable, but for the most times it's not. You're
Yeah,
lucky
our
to
fashion
even,
shows are free.
right.
So,
it's like you're
yeah.
lucky to break even.
Yeah.
So it's like people don't realize how much time and energy
Yeah,
and money
yeah,
it takes,
yeah.
and that's why they don't want to do it.
Do it. Yeah.
And the crazy part is every once in a while you'll get like a little critique here and there
Right.
or something like that.
People will always talk, man. But like you
Right.
said, if you want to talk, do your own.
Right.
Let's see how you do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But people are always going to speak, whether it be positive or negative. Everyone always has an opinion. So it's just up
Right.
to you to not care about that opinion, you know? So props to us, man. Props
Yeah.
to us.
Well, yeah, and I
But-
want to talk about that because after that, we connected. We've been on social media, staying in touch. And you were like, hey, man, we're doing this fashion show. It's got to be like invite only because it's at the University of Kansas Museum, which was incredible.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, they're strict on the capacity. It was like, what, a 50-person capacity or something.
We ended up being more than 50.
I think we did maybe 80.
Yes. Which was, I'm surprised they let it slide.
Right.
But you could tell the employees were on their tippy toes around every art piece. Like, they were like, you know.
They turned a lot of people back home.
Yeah, a lot of people had to.
Crazy.
But we sent them to Ramen Bowl because there was cocktail stuff going on there. So I think everyone was okay. I think everyone was okay. But yeah, how did you feel about that experience?
I loved it. It was such a unique venue. And one of the coolest parts about it was just like the way you incorporated the art with the models. So like the way the runway was like a square type lap where they would take a lap, but they'd be posing by statues or like in front of art pieces, and like the photography and the videos just looked incredible because it looks like it's a museum in like New York or something. But it's like right here in Kansas.
Right here in Kansas, man.
That's the goal, though. We try to make people see the other side of things. You know, not a lot of people put on unique experiences out here. So like with all the experiences that we do, we always like try to make sure something like stands out.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Well, the funniest part, and I was telling you guys a little bit about this earlier, but I was with one of my best friends at the fashion show, and all of a sudden the thing's about to start, and all of a sudden we hear on the speaker, come over the speaker, and it's like, hello, this is your AI MC for the evening. And I look over at my buddy, and I'm like, I thought I had the last job that was going to get taken from AI, but now there's AI MCs, so they don't even need JG anymore.
Nah, we gonna need JG. JG's gonna need to write the script for the AI.
Man, does need a script though.
Right.
Man, but that was a fun. It was an experiment actually.
Yeah,
Wanted to
big
see
time.
how.
Oh my God.
It was a risk because it could go left or it could go right. She says the wrong thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm back there. I'm writing the script, and she speaks based off the script that I give her. So it's a long shot. It's like if she says the wrong thing, you're screwed because you could offend any and everybody.
Right.
So you know what I mean. But I'm glad it went as smooth as it went, and I'm glad people did enjoy it because people keep talking about the AI, and I was like, that's the least memorable part of the show. But I'm glad you guys enjoyed that AI experience, man. It meant a lot to us for sure, man.
Well, it was funny because like at this point, you know, our organization, which our events are under Kansas City Tonight.
Yeah.
And Kansas City Fashion Apparel is actually our apparel brand, which we're in the very early stages of, but it's something that we've been working on behind the scenes for a long time where we want to partner with people like you, local designers, local brands, organizations to do unique pieces and different shirts and stuff. And we're starting small, you know, we're on a limited budget, but we're going to work our way up. And so Kansas City Tonight we felt was perfect because it can be events more than just fashion shows, even though that's always going to be our bread and butter and what we love.
Right.
But if we've had people reach out to us where they're doing a concert, like we'll support local artists and promote them for free. We promote people all the time. And so it's like Kansas City Tonight could be something that's like, we're going to support music, dance, everything.
Right.
It's just a whole broader package for the Kansas City community. And that's why it was so fun to just see you guys out there doing your thing. And what I loved is it your brother that came in from London?
From London,
That was special. He came up and gave a speech. And that's what, like, I love that kind of stuff because to have family involved is just the best.
It's the best feeling, man. That weekend
was not real.
That we couldn't believe he was here because we hadn't seen each other since I went to Ghana in 2020, and I'd say 4 years. And we all but I had left prior to that, so he was in London, we were here. So we're working overseas. He got to make sure Alpha Gang London's doing good or something. You know what I mean? We're got to make sure Kansas City, whatever we're doing, we're promoting the brand. So it was just beautiful to see that. Wow, all these years of Zoom meetings and FaceTime calls, like we're here.
Right.
You know what I mean? My mama couldn't even believe. She was more hyped for us than we were hyped for us. You know, they watched the show on Instagram Live actually, and they saw that part. My mom was like, wow, Emo is in America. You know what I mean? Like, and his mom too was like, this is insane. So she calls and we're all talking on the phone and she's like, you guys have kept your friendship since y'all were 16, 15 years old. And I'm
Wow.
like, it's insane. Like, we met in high school and we became brothers. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's just beautiful to see. And he was literally here just for 2 days.
Right.
And then he was back on a plane back to London.
Right.
You know? So that show was more than just the show. It was a reunion for us. You know,
Right.
it meant
Well,
a lot.
that's what I love too, because I remember after the show, kind of in that back corner where everyone was kind of hosting
Yeah.
it from. One of the main things that I was like going to come and congratulate you guys and thank you, and I wanted to make sure I gave you guys your time. The best part was just watching from afar. You guys were just giving them hugs. You guys were all hugging each other. It was like a family reunion, and it's like that's what it's really about.
Yeah,
Like my
yeah.
favorite part of our fashion shows is I have my nieces and nephews, which I
Wow.
have like 10 of them. Usually walking almost all of my shows,
Wow.
not all of them.
I think I did see. Did you have that Operation Breakthrough? The little girls came out.
Yep. So
Okay,
that's
yeah.
what like makes my heart like, just feel so special
Wow.
because I'm like, I get to give them opportunities
Yeah.
that maybe most people wouldn't get till they're older,
Right,
and it allows
right,
them
right.
to explore. Maybe they want to be a model, maybe they
Maybe
don't.
not, but confidence,
the
you
chance,
just gave them a
yep.
chance. You put
Yeah.
them on the pedestal. Wow, that's really beautiful. That's really, really dope, man.
Well, the cool
Wow.
part too is like, so one of my nieces, Eliana, who's the youngest of the group. Well, now we have an even younger one, Baby Zoe. But Eliana
Baby Zoe.
has shout out Baby Zoe. Eliana is the youngest from the main group, and she has the biggest personality in the sense of being an extrovert, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she'll get up there. We didn't even I remember our Christmas show, which was our first
Yeah.
big show. No one told her to do this. She just like walked out on the runway, biggest smile, puts her hands up, is doing all these poses. We're like, we don't know where that
Like
came
she's
from.
claiming, she's like,
Yeah.
yeah, all the fans, like, yeah, she's living in the moment. That's
Yeah.
dope.
She definitely
Wow.
gonna be a model when
Yeah.
she grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
you might have started something.
the best part is her sister, Amara, who is one of the most talented basketball players for her age I've ever seen in my life. I mean, she like plays above her age, plays with the boys, beats the boys.
Right.
She's gonna be like D1, like no
Definitely.
joke.
Yeah.
But she'll get up there and she's like an athlete, but she's also kind of a tomboy. So when she got up there, she hit it like she was like a real model and like hit the poses, and she was like very smooth and kind of professional. But it was so cool to see the different personalities
Yeah.
where she was more serious and poised. And then Eliana, who's just beautiful,
outgoing,
bubbly, she's
yeah.
just smiling, giggling, posing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is amazing to see
Right.
my nieces just be themselves
Right.
and just have
Wow,
fun in
that's
front
beautiful.
of 400 people.
Wow. Wow.
So it's been
Wow.
cool.
You said the Halloween show that's coming this Thursday is gonna be. Do you do it every Halloween or it's like every? How does it work?
So this is our third annual.
Okay,
but
third
it should
annual.
be our fourth annual. But
Okay.
last year we had done so many fashion shows back to back to back that I was like running out of energy. I was
Yeah,
like, because we had
you
just
need
done
a break.
can't even the first Operation Breakthrough one and another one, and I was like, I can't pull off another one. It's like because it takes so much time.
a
You
lot
guys
of
know.
energy. Yeah. A
Oh
lot
my
of
gosh.
energy.
So I needed to. It broke my heart though because I was
Yeah.
like, I wish we were doing the Halloween fashion show.
Yeah.
But so we unfortunately it's supposed to be our fourth annual. It's our third
Yeah.
annual. But yeah, we do it every year because in my opinion, it's such a unique thing because it shows the creativity
Right.
of the models. There's
Right.
no designers.
Right.
We had I was telling you guys like 4 or 5 designers reach out and I'm like, hey, would love for you to be a part of it. You guys could be like a sponsor.
Yeah.
But there's no designers in the show because the models are the designers.
Right.
And the models get the creative control to come up with whatever costume they
Right,
want.
right.
And a lot of them go all out.
Yeah.
I'm talking makeup for hours, creating their own costumes. Like they get props.
Right.
Sometimes people like will have staged like people in the audience where they'll like throw up a prop and the person on stage will catch like the sword and do like poses with the
Right.
sword or something, but it's
Wow.
unique.
Yeah.
And it's like when you see the visuals from it, it looks like something you've never seen before
Right.
because it's all sorts of costumes and
Wow.
unique
Yeah.
characters. So it's going to be
Wow,
legendary.
that's tough. I'm excited to see what they come up with. I'm really excited to see that. And that you said this one was very special. Was it because of the break you took last year, or is it because of you're reminiscing on that very first fashion show that you had?
So it's both because one, I'll always have that spot of being like, this is the first time we went on our
Yeah.
own and like actually went for something
Right.
and paid for it ourselves
Right,
and did
right,
all
right,
that.
right.
But not only that, but like over the years of watching it grow, because here's the thing with all of our fashion shows
Mm-hmm.
is we love fashion shows, we love fashion, we love models. but we love the community and we love performing arts. We love dance and music. So our fashion shows are only about 50% fashion shows. We have singers, dancers, rappers, charities. We'll have people from the charities that we partner with give speeches. We'll have, you never know who's going to be there. Dante Hall will come out, give a speech. Like, you never know who will, literally, you never know who will be in the building. And that's why we want to make sure it's like, all the talents are going to be on display. We want to give opportunities to local artists, musicians, dancers, you name it. And so with the Halloween one, they really go all out. So for this one, we have some really special performers. I can't get into all of
let's
it.
Let's not give it to the people
just yet.
Oh yeah,
It's gonna be it's gonna be special though.
Wow. How do people get tickets to that?
Yeah. So hey, if you're in Kansas City and you're looking for something to do on Thursday, October 31st, Halloween night, come out to the Halloween Fashion Show presented by Kansas City Tonight at the Zuby Art Center, which is a beautiful $27 million remodeled art museum, a 120-year-old building that these really talented artists that came in town. This is the story that was told to me, so I'll have to make sure someone fact checks it. But I was told these artists that were in town for a convention, never been to Kansas City, they drove by this building and they fell in love with it and they bought it. It's a 120-year-old building. And they, for $27 million, remodeled it to where the first floor is like a 500-person event space. The second floor is an art museum. And then the third and fourth floor, which used to be classrooms because it was like a school back in like the 1920s, are now studios that people can rent out for a day, a week, a month. Like artists are painting in there and they have like memberships. But what's cool is they just opened in June. So they're new to the city, but they wanted to like incorporate people and stuff. And so they hired a friend of mine whose name is Izzy. Shout out to Izzy. She's their event coordinator and director. And we've worked with Izzy on other events in the past. And she walked in our Operation Breakthrough Fashion Show. So she's a friend of mine. And they were talking to her and they were saying, hey, we want to get more people from the community, especially the art. They were like, well, you got to have JG come do a Halloween. No, they're like, you got to have JG come do an event here. And so we talked and I was like, well, I do have my Halloween fashion show coming up.
You guys could host it, man.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful, man. How would you say it's been working with the models?
Oh, man, the models are amazing. And the best part is I love the Halloween fashion show too, because, you know, regular fashion shows, when you're working with a designer and the models got to go get fitted and schedule their appointments and you do way more rehearsals and you do all these practicing and you're like trying to make the models want to make sure those designers' looks come to life and do their whole thing. And it's so much more time and energy, but it's beautiful because when you see it at the end, the finished product is amazing. For the Halloween fashion show, it's the perfect fashion show for new models to like get a little experience without having that pressure of like working with the designer. So it like puts them on that runway, gets them in front of 400 people, allows them to be creative. Cause it's like, I tell the models, this is actually from all my fashion shows, but some fashion show directors and all that stuff might say, we want all of our models to be strict and serious and walk in a certain way and all that other stuff. And that's great for them. And that's awesome. I hope they keep doing that. But with me, I always say, I let the models model and I let the designers. I let the models model and the designers design. And then I let the performers perform and I stay out of their way. And by doing that, it allows them to have that creative control and they buy in more. And then that finished product is so much better because they love it and they're doing what they love. So I always tell models, if you're the type that likes to walk and smile and wave to someone in the crowd and do a couple poses like that, do it. If you're the type that wants to hit the traditional do it. Do what you love. And when you do that, it just comes through in the representation on the runway. It's beautiful.
We did have some models from the Breakthrough show on our show.
Our show.
I think we had about
three, four. Mackenzie, Peyton, who else?
I don't know. I can remember them both of them for sure.
And they did incredible. Mackenzie's going to be in the Halloween fashion show too.
I saw her post that. Yeah, wow. That's gonna be. I like your mindset because I'm traditional, and a lot of the models, those who know me, they know I could be a dick sometimes when it comes to, because we did rehearsals.
We did like 4 practices.
Because I'm just a perfectionist, and I mean,
as you should.
You should. So I remember rehearsals, like the models will go. We had about 30 models. We rehearsed on the runway. We rehearsed in the gym, so full-size basketball court. They have to walk from one hoop to the other.
Wow.
Turn the right corner, and then walk all the way back down. by themselves. Everybody watches, kind of.
Yep.
So I
the
was
rehearsal itself was like high stakes.
yes, because what I was trying to create was if you could build pressure and let them feel that pressure, but learn to subdue their emotions, you see it, they'll elevate.
Right.
So that was what my goal was. I never told them this, so
Right.
those who do tune in will hear it for the first time, because I had a model, DM me and wasn't too happy about the way I was a little bit strict or whatever the case, and I was like, I mean, truth be told, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it.
Right.
So then she was like, wow, that's such a dick answer to say. I'm like, yeah, but that's just the truth.
Right.
Because you have said you want to model in the real world. And trust me, when you go to New York or you go to
Right.
Paris or you go to even Dallas, like, they don't play like that.
No.
You know what I mean? And I'm really just trying to, you get your reps and you get comfortable. Once they throw you in any runway, you could even like be free because you know what to do and what to expect, So I remember those 4 rehearsals, they were all go, come.
The first rehearsal too was kind of like very chill, like nobody knew what to expect.
Oh, yeah.
We were in like a
room.
conference room, just all like chit chatting. And from that till the last rehearsal, how everyone had evolved.
Yeah, everyone,
At the
they
end of the day,
became
it was
professional
crazy.
models over
Yeah.
3 days. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
it was beautiful to see their growth. And a lot of them actually do want to model like
For real.
officially, you know what
Right.
I mean? So like you said, you giving them the opportunity to design a fit and actually walk carefree so they figure out who they are as people first before somebody tries to mold them in whatever shape, form. So if you're, like you said, you're the outgoing type, you like to wave and you like to smile a lot, there's shows who want models like that, so don't change.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's you. Like,
Right.
so go for what, you do. If you also want to get out your comfort zone, there's
Right.
also that for you. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So it's like everyone has a spot, literally everybody. You
Right.
just have to be prepared to avail yourself to the opportunity, you know? So, man, I just think it's so dope. But then we're talking fashion. We're gonna jump over fashion a little bit and go into high school.
Okay.
How was your high school experience,
Oh man, high school was fun. It was crazy because part of my journey is a little bit of a wild one where it's like, I came here from Canada. My mom was a single mom, had me at 18. We had to do what we had to do to survive and make our rounds, and just so we moved around a lot because she worked at different nursing homes, and so I went to a bunch of different schools when I first got to America. So it was always like the new kid every year, like sometimes twice or 3 times in a year.
Wow.
I'd go to a new school. And I
All
think,
in Kansas City?
no, I mean, at one point is like when I first moved to Kansas City, it was in Grandview. Then we were in Raymore. Then I went to Webb City, Missouri, which
Wow.
is like
Friend
by
groups
Joplin.
everywhere.
Oh man, it was crazy. But what it did was it built me up from a confidence standpoint to say every time I went to a new school, it was like, well, I have to go make new friends now. So
Yeah.
instead of just being shy like maybe I used to be, I'm like, I have to put myself out there. So I think part of my extroverted personality I have today comes because I was forced to go make new friends
Right.
everywhere I went.
Right.
So I think it ended up being a really good thing for me. But I found my best friends in 7th grade in Raymore, Casey Clark and Colin Gibson and Christian Beck and all these other great guys.
Wow.
And what happened is whenever I would move to all these different cities, I'd still stay connected to them and come visit them in Raymore all the time on weekends. I'd have my mom just go drop me off, even if I had to go to school out in Webb City or Independence or wherever. So I'd stay. I mean, I loved Raymore and my friend group. Like, that's what I loved more than anything. So finally, we got to move back to Raymore, and I got to finish out in Ray-Pac High School with my original friends.
Yeah.
So it was a blessing. We had a ball. It was a great time to be around back then.
Wow.
And it was just a fun, vibe. We just had friends running around. Just
Right.
life was, looking back, it was just
Life is good, you know what I
carefree,
mean?
less responsibility.
No bills.
No
Wow.
missed texts, DMs, all that stuff that
Yeah,
adds
yeah,
up.
you
and-
didn't. Instagram wasn't doing that back in the day.
Nah.
man.
Boosie's days.
Man, so moving from high school to high school, you developed the personality. You became an extrovert.
Yeah.
you would say, and then I'm guessing those people are involved. Some of your old friends are involved in Casey Fashion today.
Yeah. So it's been cool because the crazy part is the journey was really wild. Where it was like, at one point, my mom was figuring out like her life and getting her stuff together. And she's doing incredible. Like she's doing amazing right now. And at the time, it was kind of this thing where we didn't see eye to eye on like how I wanted things to go. Because, it just is what it is. Won't go too deep, but like it was a situation where, she ended up moving to Arkansas.
Yeah.
And so I moved out on my own at 15, started paying rent from my child support to this local lady in Raymore. And that was for maybe about a year or so. And then one of my best friends in the world, his name is Alan Lawing, at one point when that stuff wasn't really going as well, he just said, why don't you just come move in with me?
Wow.
And I was like, are you sure your parents would be like okay with that? He's like, yeah, it's fine. Little did I know, he didn't even tell them at first.
Wow.
And he just told them that JG's going to be crashing on the couch for a little bit. And he just needed a place to stay while he got his thing figured out. Well, long story short goes is that I started going to dinner with the parents and they started to understand the story a little more. And they're like, oh, wow. So basically at that point in my life, I was an illegal alien because I came from Toronto, Canada. And when we came here originally, my mom, we didn't like figure out the paperwork.
Yeah, I started living.
I was like 11, 12 years old, like coming over the border in the middle of the night type of vibe. Like I didn't know what was going on. Like I swear on my life, like it was.
That man he's just living. He's like, where mama go, I go. So, hey.
I'll never forget being a kid in the back seat. It was like midnight, and I remember my mom was like, we're moving to America. We're moving to Kansas City. At that point, growing up, because I'm still like maybe somewhere between 10 to 12 years old.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is that like, Wizard of Oz, Kansas? I was like, I don't know what that is. Like, I really didn't know. And just being like a little kid, I was like, all right, well, I guess we're heading to Kansas City. So I remember having a Game Boy Color with the Pokemon game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were like, it's like a 18-hour drive. I was like, well, that's cool. I got my
Game Boy, I'm big chilling.
So we're driving, and I'm just, I don't know what's going on, and we get to the border at midnight, and they're just like, pretend like you're sleeping in the back seat, like, under the blanket or whatever. And as a kid, I'm down for the ride.
You're playing hide and seek.
Oh, whatever. Long story short goes is, we thought I was going to get the citizenship because my mom got married to the man that was bringing us to America.
Yeah.
But because the paperwork wasn't done the right way and it wasn't done properly, I actually found out a few years later I was an illegal alien.
Wow.
And so it was when I went to go actually apply to get my driver's permit and do all these things.
To hit you.
Yeah. And so it started this journey of saying, well, how do I become a citizen? How do I do this? All these things, right? So I'm trying to like figure out how to become a citizen while also graduating high school, while also moving in with my best friend and his family. And his family thankfully had the means to say, hey, we're going to help you with this. They understood my story and they're like, this is a good kid. At least I thought so. And they're like, he just wants an opportunity to just have the same freedoms that everyone else has.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, we're going to let you stay with us. We're going to let you live here if that's what you would like.
Right.
But it was like really incredible because they were like, but if you are going to live here, it is our house. It is our rules. And if you'd like to be a part of our family, we would love for you to be a part of our family. And at that time, it's what I needed, you know, and it's the most important thing.
Right.
Because they changed my life and they saved my life. You know? So Carrie and Terry Lawing, the most important people in my life, Alan Lawing, they adopted me. And it was a truly special thing that I'm always going to, because I still celebrate Christmas with them. And I still, everything to this day, those are my people, and I still love my mom and I love my biological father. And I love all my family back in Canada. My mom's doing amazing, but, that family was there for me. And they said, hey, you know what? We're going to help you with this immigration stuff. So here was the crazy part. We hired this immigration lawyer after I'd been trying to figure it out on my own for years. He goes through my paperwork and he's like, this is interesting. He's like, I'm sorry to tell you this because it was 3 months after my 18th birthday. And what happened was is I was applying to get into community college. And I got rejected, not because of my grades, because it's, community college. They don't really reject many people. You're rejected because you're an illegal alien. So I'm like, okay. So let me get this figured out or whatever. And this immigration lawyer goes, hey, man, I'm sorry to tell you this. I know this is going to be kind of crazy news to hear, but you have 3 months to get your citizenship or a permanent resident status. Otherwise, you're going to be deported from this country and banned from the United States for up to 10 years.
Wow. Because you turned 18.
Because I turned 18. You have 6 months after you turn 18 to get out of the country. Otherwise, you're deported and banned. And I found this out 3 months after my 18th birthday. So I have
So you had 3
90
months
days
left.
90
Wow.
days. This lawyer went to bat for me. And thankfully, my newly adopted family had the means to pay for
Right.
a lawyer that
The
I
lawyer
didn't
that
have
was
the money to
gonna
do.
do. Right.
And apparently, from what this lawyer had told me, and I want to go find this lawyer somewhere because I could probably find the record
Yeah.
somewhere. And I did. It was like 5 or 8 years later, I reached out and sent him the most beautiful email thanking him and all this other
Wow.
stuff. And I did when it first happened too.
Right.
This guy went to bat for me. Apparently he drove like hours to this like Midwestern District of Immigration, went through all this paperwork and all these files. And they were like, this is such a unique case because when your mom brought you here to the United States illegally, when she moved out of the state of Missouri to Arkansas, your official status became an unaccompanied, abandoned youth. So it's like unaccompanied, unauthorized, illegal alien youth.
But you can't do anything.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
So it's like because she was in a different state, and once you cross those state lines, it gets like you're no longer like under that like umbrella. So he was like, because this is such a unique case, they were like, we're not finding other examples of this from Canada. Now, maybe from other countries it might be different, but they were like, because your situation is different where you were a youth and then unaccompanied, we're going to go ahead and grant you the permanent residency, but we're going to create, and this is what he told me, and I need to like make sure it's all fact checked.
Yeah.
But he was like, you know, I guess in law, there's like some grandfathered in type rules where it's like, you know, because basically what he literally said to me is, we're going to grant you permanent residency, but anyone else that comes here illegally from Canada and then gets abandoned in their state will actually be deported from now on.
So you created they had to put a law in place to avoid your situation from happening again, pretty much.
Yes. So it was like Jordan Gallant versus U.S. immigration system, blah, 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 all these things. Now, like I said, I want to make sure it gets all fact-checked and stuff, but this is the story that was told to me by the immigration lawyer, so he was just happy as can be because he's like, hey, man, just want to say I spent a lot of work on this case, and we were able to get you through under this exception of being like a unique circumstance that they hadn't seen before.
Right.
And so we're going to grant you the permanent residency. So that became, so it was like he got me the permanent residency. Within the first week, I got a job.
Wow.
I got my driver's permit. I got all this stuff. And I'll never forget, Kerry Long, my adopted father, was like, he's like, the week of, he's like, you need to apply to 10 places to get a job. And I applied to 10 places. I only got 3 interviews and only one person hired me, which was Sonic as a cook for $7.50.
Hey, we'll take it.
And I was flipping burgers. And I had
happiest burger flipper you ever go
man,
get.
I was like SpongeBob ready. in
The
the kitchen,
American
just
dream.
like, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I was just,
The American
Yes.
dream. Wow. That's a beautiful story,
That
man.
is wow.
But see, I see why, you know how you said the lawyer told you that they said after your case, nobody else, because they didn't want you to go telling your Canadian friends
Right,
that, look,
right.
just go abandon your son at the border. He go,
hey, I got a
wow.
plug. I can get you
I got
in.
a plug, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Which is insane. But that's crazy because you meet people that go through these tough times and you see some of like the laws and stuff, and you can understand why people panic, like when
Right.
governments are switching and stuff, because they're like, yo, like our lives depend on, you know, all this kind of stuff. So it's just beautiful to hear your story, man.
Yeah,
wow.
for real.
How
For real.
with the way you've been moving around, how's been dating like, man?
Oh, man.
Because you got Kansas City Fashion, Kansas City Tonight. What's the other one?
Oh, man. Well, so I run a few Instagram pages because I've loved social media for so long.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if you guys, because this might be, I'm older than you guys. I don't know if you ever heard of Exanga.
Never.
So you never heard of Exanga. So
Never.
Exanga was the OG social media site before MySpace and before Facebook.
And you got an account running on that?
It was so lit. Like you could change the background of your profile. You could have music. So you picked a song.
Yeah.
So whenever someone came to my page, I'd have memes. This is why I'm hot. This is why, you know, some
Instagram just
songs
started
like that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I've been doing social media for so long now, and I was like, you know, I love Kansas City fashion. I just put my heart and soul into
Yeah.
that page. But I was like, I wanted another page that, you know, for the company Kansas City Tonight, for the events, that's a broader thing. And then also, like, I'm such a like content, like geek, because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love good visuals, photos, videos, you name it, especially event recap
Right.
videos and stuff. So I was like, let me get Kansas City visuals to celebrate like the visuals and all that stuff. And then I also love sunset. So I have Kansas City sunset. So it's a whole thing. I have too many pages, honestly, because I got my personal page and then all these other pages.
Yeah.
And then a few other companies, have me
Yeah.
help with their pages.
Yeah.
And, but no, it's cool because I love it. And the question to go back to is the dating thing. I've been so busy and deep into the fashion show stuff that I get so consumed by my work
Yeah.
that I really don't go. I can't tell you the last time I
Yeah,
went on
time.
a date. Now,
Right.
I'm interested in women. I love women. I would love to actually like find a girl
Get
and
to know
settle
somebody,
down.
yeah.
And I think that's on my goals for like
Right.
2025 because
2025, shoot your shot.
yeah, because it's just like, for example, like this fashion show. As we're talking, I have 500 unread text messages.
Oh, man.
I mean, I got so many stuff I got to get done just for the next week, and it's hard, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like to pull these things off, it's thousands of dollars. You got to get people to buy in.
Yeah.
You got to get people invested, and people help. And they do, and you appreciate it, but sometimes they might not know it's
How you like to
hundreds
do
of
it.
hours of work just to get a model on the runway.
Right.
And so that's why I always appreciate the models that will share the post
Yes.
and promote it and stuff, because sometimes I'm like, it's not required for a model to help promote the show,
Right,
but
yeah.
it means so much when they do.
Right.
And then sometimes when you look at some models that like, because here's the hard part, right? We had 250 people reach out to apply to be a part of just this Halloween fashion show.
Wow.
250. We only
250
had
models?
250 models. Well, here's the thing. Models, performers, content
Yeah.
creators.
The whole thing, the whole package.
So we had 250 reach out about
Yeah.
being involved in some capacity. Not
Yeah.
all models, but we only had probably around 50 to 60 spots
Slots.
for models, maybe 2 or 3 spots for performers. And then, I make exceptions for like content creators or
Yeah,
pro
yeah,
athletes and stuff
yeah.
like that. But the hardest part was getting a team together to say, because here's what my team always gives me a hard time for. If it was up to me, I would let all 250 walk in the show. And people know me that I'm like generous like
Yeah.
that, where like I love people so much
Yeah.
that I just like get so many people to do it.
Yeah.
But then my team wrangles me in and they're like, JG, we don't have time. That
Yeah.
would be a 4-hour show. So what I do is, we get a small team together and I say, these are the people that apply. And, the way I like to formulate the model roster is I want it to be 50% of models that have experience,
Right.
so that they know what they're doing.
Right.
I also want 25% of them to never have done it before.
Wow.
Because I want them to know what it's like for their first time, because sometimes it's like just getting that first experience, kind of like with my
Yeah.
nieces and nephews, it's like whether you go on to want to pursue being a
Right.
model or not, at least you got this experience and you got out of your comfort zone and you can say, that was fun. I really liked
Yeah.
it. It might not be for me, but I'm glad I had that
You got
experience.
that experience, yep,
So I
yep.
want 25% new models, 50%, professional models.
Yeah.
And then the other 25% is really more of on the performer side
Right.
or special guests
Right.
or, dancers
Right.
and stuff like that.
Right.
And so I'm like, hey, I want to keep doing it. I
Yeah.
want people to give opportunities. I don't want to give the same people opportunities at the same time.
Right.
But sometimes it is people that are like, hey,
Right.
you've been with us since the beginning. Like we have multiple people that have
Right.
walked in every single fashion
Right.
show we've done.
Right.
And that's why I'm like, I'm always going to have a spot for
Right,
you
right.
because you were there from the beginning.
Right.
And then you have other people that are like, I did it. I liked walking, but now I just like going to the show and watching. And I like
right,
those people
right.
too. So the hardest part is just like, I wish I could give them all a spot in the show. And it's been something tough to deal with because sometimes when people go to the show, they think that I'm the only person that's selecting the model roster. And unfortunately, like for those that don't get selected, some of those people are friends of mine
Yeah.
that I know personally, and I'll see them out in public. And I've had people like confront me and say, so what, JG, you don't think I was good enough to walk in the fashion show? It's funny, but it actually hurts me a little bit because
Yeah.
like, that's not the point of it. It's like, I wish I actually could have gotten
Right,
everyone
right.
in the show. And here's the worst part. Like, for example, and I don't only like talk about negative stuff, but I had someone that has walked in multiple fashion shows for me. She has, I'm not gonna say any names, but
Yeah.
I've given her a Kansas City fashion spotlight on our page to promote her. She's walked in our fashion shows. It was the first fashion show she's ever done. She's gone on to do other fashion shows. And for the last Operation Breakthrough fashion show, she didn't apply to be in the show. She didn't reach out or anything like that, but she was upset that I didn't reach out to her and invite her to walk in
Yeah.
the show. She unfollowed me on my personal page. She unfollowed Kansas City Fashion and basically separated herself from me. And I'm like, if we just go and audit the friendship,
she got entitled, man.
it's like, here's the relationship between me and this person. We've just been friends. I know her not that well. We don't really hang out or anything, but I think she's a great person and she's cool. And I was like, you know what? I gave her a spotlight on the page and she was very appreciative of that. And then I put her in 2 fashion shows and she was appreciative of that. And that's okay. I didn't ask for anything in return.
Yeah.
But she's never reached out to me to say, do you want to go to lunch? Or how are you doing? Or, hey, I'm hosting an event. Do you want to be a part of it? Never done that.
Right.
And that's okay. I'm not asking for her to do that. But she was upset that I didn't put her in another fashion show by reaching out to her and asking if she'd be down.
She got entitled. She got entitled to your friendship.
Right.
The same thing happened to us on this.
Oh, a
recent show.
lot, man.
Yeah.
It's similar situations. I think they feel like they're close with you, but it's like only in their benefit. Because if you look at the track record again, like you said, we don't talk. You're
and they don't want to go through
you
the
know
system too, or maybe even send you a little text.
Right.
Like you got to go through just like everybody else, you know. Especially when the thing is growing.
Right.
It's not going to be automatic.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be new faces. Everybody is replaceable until people start telling themselves that they're not going to elevate.
Right.
Everybody is replaceable. So unless you are working on your craft and elevating your craft and becoming this monopoly or whatever. You're replaceable. So I'm not going to reach out to you to ask you to do this for me. Like people want to already do it for me for free.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, the hard part too is that it's like when we do the model castings, that's partly also to let me know that, hey, I'm available on this date at that time and I'm interested in being a part of the fashion show. If I reached out to everyone individually, they'd be like, oh, I'd love to, but I'm not available that day. And I'm like, well, now I just wasted 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can't reach out, especially when in the Operation Breakthrough, we had over 300 people want to be a part of that one.
Yeah.
So, the audience was like probably 300 to 400.
Yeah.
But as far as models reach
alone,
out, it was like
another 300
that like reached out to be involved with the show. We only had like around 50-ish spots for that one as well. So it's tough because my team knows that I'm so generous and I give so much to other people and I like to pour in people's cups. And I that's what I do it for, honestly, because I don't make a bunch of money from it. And I do it because I love seeing people shine. I love giving people that spotlight. I've had there's this girl named Angel. She's a sweetheart. She walked in our first ever Halloween fashion show. She sent me the sweetest message like a year later. And I could pull it up at some point. I might need to do that. But she's like, hey, JG, I just want to say, you know, I went to, when I was in high school or whatever, I went for performing arts and I've always been a dancer. But she was like, when I was graduating and figuring out what I was going to do, she's like, I wasn't really sure. And she's like, when I auditioned and then you walked in your Halloween fashion show, that gave me the confidence to pursue my dreams.
Wow.
She moved to LA and is now working with like a production company where she does like dance and performing arts. And she like sent me this message saying that like me putting her in the fashion show was that little bit of boost that she needed to pursue her dreams to go to California. And she's still out in Cali killing it. I see her on social media.
Wow.
And so that's what I do it for. I do it for the people that are like, I walked in my first fashion show with you, and then they went on to do New York Fashion Week or whatever. And there's probably, after all the shows, we've done dozens of shows. I've been, like, I get hired to MC other people's shows too. So I feel like I'm a part of other people's shows. And there's probably, I bet if you added it up, there's probably 200 or more people in this world that can say that their first fashion show they ever walked in was ours.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And that's what I do it for, you know? It's like giving people that opportunity.
Right. Wow.
How many shows do you do a year?
So that's a great question because I get hired to MC probably 4 or 5 a year. And then my organization hosts probably 3 or 4 a year. Wow. So I'm probably a part of 7 to 8 a year as far as like really a part of it, either the MC or like actual event host.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, we'll get invited to be part of like so-and-so's hosting a charity event. Will you MC the charity event? So I'm a part of that. So it's like, or sometimes we'll be a sponsor of certain events too. So it's like, I'm probably doing if I'm involved in some form of fashion, whether it's 100% or 10%,
Yeah.
probably 4 events a month or more every single month. You know,
Right.
I mean, like for example, coming out to your guys' fashion
Yeah,
show
yeah.
on a Tuesday or
Right.
whatever day. It was like a Thursday. or
Thursday.
something.
I think it was Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday. We love our Thursdays.
And I'm like, you know what? I was honored to just even play the smallest part of just
Yeah.
saying, hey, I was happy to do a post for you
Yeah.
guys on the
Yeah.
page just to
Yeah.
help spread the word.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like little stuff like that where I'm like, if I find people that are doing things and they're coming up, they might have the smallest following.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I reach out to them and I'm like, hey, love what you're doing. Let me know if I can help all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what's been cool to build all these relationships. Now, you guys will see it too because you guys are growing
Yeah.
like crazy and doing an incredible job.
Appreciate you, man.
But
Thank you.
at some point, you know, there are unfortunately, and it breaks my heart, but there are people in this town, Kansas City and around that don't like competition.
Oh, yeah.
And
easily.
so they'll try to put you down or say
Yeah.
negative things. But here's my rebuttal to that. We're not in a competition.
No, I'm trying to help we're both trying to help the industry out. You know what I mean?
We're in fact, there's not enough people doing fashion
We need
shows in
more.
this town. We need more.
Yeah.
So people try to like the old school like people in this town that host the big fashion show stuff. They want to gatekeep.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, we don't need to gatekeep. We need to
Yeah.
support.
There's
and
a lot
promote.
of gatekeepers. A lot.
That's why, like, I honestly, at some point, and I've talked about this before, I want to give like some sort of like panel or like educational event where I just want to like do a free educational event that says, if you want to learn how to host your own fashion show,
Like, pull up.
come to this event. We're going to teach you how to book a venue,
Yeah.
get the insurance,
Yeah.
get the models, get the designers,
Yeah.
and most importantly, create a safe atmosphere for the models, for the performers, for the guests. That always has
Yep.
to be, you know, that
Yeah.
the most important
That'd be
thing.
beautiful. That's what
Yes.
that's what the city and the little towns surrounding the city need actually,
Right.
because trust me, even just exploring Lawrence fashion industry and the communities, there's a lot of creative people out there, like a lot, like,
Right.
who have beautiful ideas, who know how to dress, who if given the opportunity, they would step out their shell, but they just don't. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
We've seen a couple of people stand up and do a couple of shows here too.
yeah, which is great. There was actually one that Leslie Kofi, and I don't know the organization, but I think it was like Black Creatives or something like that. They had like a show on campus not too long ago. You know, unfortunately we couldn't be a part of it, but like just see that it's going on. So there's
Right.
more people doing it. We need more people to put on shows, contribute to the cause. Like, when we say fashion, let's not only think of Paris and New York. We got
Right.
to say Kansas City or
Exactly.
Kansas, Missouri. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
because there's a lot going on here. So this whole thing of gatekeeping the industry, man, we got to open the doors, man.
We do.
Because I don't know what they're gatekeeping, because there's a whole lot of stuff that we've seen that we're not going to get into.
Right.
But whatever they're gatekeeping, they need some help. So
Right.
it's beautiful, man. You should definitely do that. You
Yeah.
should definitely do that.
Yeah, and I'm
for
going to have
sure.
you guys come and help me
Hey,
with
we
it too.
will
so
gladly
can-
pull up. We
Yeah.
will
We'll be
gladly
there for
pull up.
sure.
We're open books. I say this all the time. From even the show we had at the museum, one of the ladies, I think her name is Ashley. I might double check that, but I know she is organizing like a fashion show, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I would love for you to come on and just help." I'm like, "Help? Sure," because even when I help, I learn.
Right.
Because it's different people, different experiences, different opinions. It's not your show.
Right.
So like you're not sitting back and just kind of like watching everything, putting your input, of course, you know. So it's just we're helping each other. That's what human beings are supposed to do
Facts.
anyway. We're supposed to help each other out.
And the audience, there's a lot of audience to go around.
Oh,
That's
man.
what people think.
Yes.
Man.
I think
There's
it's
a lot of people to
I
go
think it's a
around.
money thing for a lot of these organizations, but we do this for free or we use our money to do it. I just feel like we go in with a more open mind because we're not expecting anything in return.
Right.
We don't make money from these shows. Like
Right.
it's just literally opportunities put in front of like the people, just bring the community together and then kind of like get everybody to do what they love to do. You know what I mean? But I know some of the models who auditioned for our runway, they auditioned over Zoom.
Oh, wow.
So they put the camera back, they walked, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it just goes to show how people will get out their comfort zone to do something like that. So you know, once money gets into the equation, people get greedy. People, you know, want to gatekeep because they feel like if you're doing a show and I promote yours and people go for yours, they're not going to come for mine.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of sad to see, but at least it's good to know that there's more people out there with the open mind, you know, willing and ready to help the city and the community grow. You know? It's
well,
beautiful,
and
man.
so that's the thing. So it's like with the Halloween fashion show, Thursday, October 31st.
Yes, sir.
We got 50 plus models in costumes, multiple dancers, singers, you name it. It's going to be a legendary event, performers, special guests, all sorts of people. And we always like to partner with like a charitable cause.
Yeah.
The cool thing about the Zuby Art Center is that they have a foundation that's like a 501c3 nonprofit that supports local artists.
Okay.
And gives them opportunities and gives them studio time and all that
Right.
other stuff. And we'll have to fact check and make sure I'm saying everything correctly,
yeah.
but this is what I've been told. And so what I'm excited about, it's like we have special guests coming that I'm not going to share, but you
Right,
know, it's like
right.
some big names that people will recognize. The only thing we're missing is the host of the CruiseLine podcast. And so we need King and Nana to get out on the
my
runway
God, man.
and light that thing up.
You see how JG put me on the spot there, man? We gonna be at the show.
Well,
We gonna
you
talk
heard
about
it
this
here
runway.
first.
So we would love for you to walk in the show if you're down.
Man,
So we'll talk
JG,
about it later.
We'll talk about this later, man. We'll make something happen, y'all. We'll make something happen. See how JG slid it in there. So now everybody's gonna be holding us accountable for
Yep.
this.
Yep.
I love
I
it.
better see you out
I
there.
better see you out there.
I'm gonna be on the mic and I'm gonna say, next up, you saw them on the CruiseLine podcast, and here they are, the one and only, and it's gonna be
man.
legendary. It's gonna be
man.
legendary.
Oh man, I
tough.
appreciate you, man. I mean, it does feel. I think I was telling my brother this not too long ago, and I was like, we've been behind the scenes doing so much. We might have forgot what it was like to even just because when we were kids, we used to dance on stage.
Really?
Yeah.
People don't
So maybe
know
we
this.
should do a.
Oh no. the dance moves are in the grave.
Okay. Oh,
that's dead. We don't do it no more.
Those are
but-
retired.
They deep
But
down.
we've kind of like our story is kind of unique and different. But when we were kids, we would dance on stage. We would hip hop classes, whatever kind of break dance, crumping, you know,
Really?
all that stuff. So we did that for a while. We got into fashion in 2016.
Okay.
And from there, with Alpha Gang, actually, that's the OG logo that we
Hey.
just put in. But from there, it's just been organization, putting stuff together, bringing people together. You do this, you do that. And like I remember when I went to visit in Ghana, he was in Ghana at the time. We were organizing a pop-up shop and he was running it. And when I got to the pop-up shop, I'm well dressed. I got my shades on, I'm chilling. He got his flip-flops on because he's been at the venue since morning putting things together. But then he was there putting things together all day. The show started at 4. He can't
Still at the
go
show.
home
Can't go home.
and change. So he still got flip-flops. I got a picture. He got flip-flops on shorts, this raggedy shirt, hair all messed up, no haircut. And he's the host of the show. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
wow.
So
That one was hard.
that's why, like, seeing your show, being able to come just attend and kind of like, you know, it's a breath of fresh air, you know.
Yeah,
So
for real though.
I appreciate you for trying to drag us on that road.
Yes. Well, I like that you shared that story because the second annual Halloween fashion show we did was the biggest learning lesson I've ever had in my life. Because
Yeah.
at that point, it was the most people we've ever had, which was like, I think about 550-ish. And that includes the models and staff
Right.
and all that stuff.
Right.
So probably, 400 and something guests. But it was the craziest experience because we had some volunteers that were supposed to help with the ticket greeting. Well, I learned a hard lesson that sometimes like you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And so we had
So get what you pay for.
the ticket greeters that were supposed to help us with that were no calls, no shows. So listen to how my night went. This was one of the craziest experiences of my life. We rented a runway. So the day of, I had to go pick up this runway. We brought it to the venue, installed the runway ourselves. So I'm putting together heavy equipment, setting up the decorations ourselves. Then when it came to the event, because the ticket greeters backed out and last minute, I didn't have any replacements. I was in the front of the venue taking tickets from people in my costume ready to go. So the same guy that set up the venue and the decorations was taking their tickets.
Multitask.
Then
yeah,
get
JG.
this. Get this. I'm like, hey, thank you guys for coming. Welcome inside. Welcome to the Halloween fashion show. Thank you for being here. I always want to really
Yes.
that's a first impression
Yes.
matters, you know?
Yes.
So I'm like, thank you for coming. We appreciate
Smile
you being
and wave,
here.
boys.
Yes. So we let all the people in. I worked the front desk or like front area for like 45 minutes when I'm I'm supposed to be like getting ready for the show. The same guy that took their tickets, like an hour later, pops out on stage as the MC, and I'm the host of the event, right? So I'm up there giving the speeches and all this other stuff.
Yo,
And I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Who is this guy? Like, wait, what? You got twins or something? Like, are you guys twins? Like, I just saw you at the door. Wow, that is insane.
funny.
But at least you learn from that, though.
Well, and then so everyone heads to the after party after the show, and I have to stay at the venue to break the stage down, load it all up, and we're all working and sweating. And then after it got done, you know, we went to the after party and stuff. But it was one of those things where you're like, I can't do this all by myself anymore.
No,
We got to
need
get
a crew.
more team.
You need a crew, man. A crew is
How
very,
did you
very
put
important.
a crew together?
So now it's like we do a mixture of we'll hire people to, you know, $25 an hour, something like that, where it's like, hey, for these type of roles, we need someone to actually show up and be there and be accountable, and we're going to pay you for that because, you know, not everyone wants to do the ticket greeting or whatever it is. And then we'll do volunteers as well, too, where it's like we want some volunteers that they want to be a part of the show, but they don't want to be in the show.
Yeah.
Like we
Behind
have
the scenes.
Suzanne, one of our event coordinators for this show that's been helping with a lot of stuff. She doesn't want to be on the runway because I try to get her up there, but she's like, I'm a backstage person. That's where she gets her
Thrives,
fulfillment from, right? So we have those type of people that I'm like, I love those type of people because they get to help with the behind the scenes stuff. Then we have other people like Haley Marie, who's like my typical model coordinator for all my other shows, where she models in the show too, and is usually like one of the final like models because she's like real professional. Like she's like 6 foot something, and she's like a real model.
We met her at one of our events at the Ferns.
And the Lowest Friends, you were there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she's incredible. She's doing a great job. Shout out Haley Marie. She just got signed to a big modeling agency.
Well, congrats to her.
And here's the thing, though. She got booked for a big gig out in Vegas this week and won't be able to be there for the Halloween fashion show. It's the first fashion show in like 2 or 3 years she won't be a part of, so I'm going to miss her. And it's been a lot more work because usually she helps with a lot of the stuff.
Model coordination and stuff on lock. Wow.
So
we have a friend, our friend Chi-Chi.
Chi-Chi does that. Chi-Chi does that a lot. Chi-Chi is our make sure, especially the females. The females love to see another female figure, and it makes them more comfortable to even get the job done. So Chi-Chi does a great job. Shout out to Chi-Chi.
Yeah.
She does a great job bringing all the girls together, making sure their makeup is on point and everything. They call her mama Chi-Chi at this point.
Really?
So,
shout out to Chi-Chi. Hey, Chi-Chi, if you don't have anything going on Thursday, October 31st, I would love to get Chi-Chi involved with the show because I need someone like her to help out with this.
Chi-Chi would do the job. Like she will make sure that everything is done to the T. She's that good.
We might have to call her after this. And see what's going on.
Chi-Chi, hey, JG.
I'm gonna hit you up.
Yes, sir. But no, it's just that teamwork, that, you know, one man show. You trying to dash is always, again, community, bringing people together. So you bring your team together, that team brings the other people together. You know, it's all about the community. So again, we got those gatekeepers. You better drop the keys and let us unlock that gate, man. Let's open the floodgates. Let's get it going. Let's build this industry in Kansas City. Let's make it beautiful. Let's keep supporting each other. Thank you very much for that post that you made. I saw that, and I even asked him. I was like, did you pay? Like, because I saw the post, but I didn't. He had already communicated with you. He was like, "Oh no, JG, cool. He wanted to support." I'm like, "Wow, that's really beautiful." Because you don't meet a lot of people. I always got my eyes like this. Every time I meet somebody, I'm like, because people are either looking for being opportunists or just, you know, want something in return. You know, so to see someone who just wants to contribute and help and stuff is beautiful to see, man. So probably big ups to you for that.
Well, that's been my thing with the whole page. It's like when we started the page before doing the events, I used to do this thing called a KC Fashion Spotlight, where every single day I would take a local person from the community, even if they're not necessarily in fashion, but in my opinion, they are because they wear clothes and they pick their own style. I did over 500 spotlights for different people in Kansas City. It'd be like, this person's a local artist that they're trying to be this, so go follow them. This person's trying to be a designer, or this person is a designer, go follow them. So we've done, now I'm so busy nowadays, I haven't done as many lately. I need to do more, but building the page in the first couple years, that's what helped launch the whole thing, because I'd give someone a spotlight and then they'd share it on their story, and then people would follow, and it just went from there. So we gave 500 spotlights out to different people in the community, and you know, each spotlight takes. You got to reach out, tell me your story. I'm going to write the caption. Give me what pictures, what order of pictures. How do you want the caption to be written? I mean, it took so much time, but that's what you got to do to build a page and build a following. And so it's been cool to just give people these opportunities. And that's what I just love doing. The crazy part is kind of like what you're saying with the models and everything. It's like, for example, this fashion show, it's costing thousands of dollars on production and all these other things. And when other people do events, if people in the community do an event, I'll always do a post for free for just to support people, right? Now, if they want like 4 or 5 posts, we're going to have to work out a deal. It doesn't have to be money. It could be free tickets. It could be something. But I'm not. But I'm always going to give the first post on the house to people, you know? But man, sometimes, and I've learned that you just got to let people be them. But sometimes it breaks your heart a little bit when you're like, I give out so many free posts for other people, but when it's my time to have an event, they don't want to post me. And I found myself the other day getting a little down and sad because like only about 50% of the models on our roster had shared the event.
And they're going to be walking.
And they're walking in it, and they're the ones that applied and wrote on there how excited they'd be to be a part of this show, and they would love, and they got selected out of 250 people to be a part of it. And I was like, I bet they're going to really help promote it. And then to this day, they still haven't shared it on the stories. But what I learned is that, you know what, that's okay, because it's not their responsibility. And I'm okay with it. It's not their job to help promote the show. So I've had to learn to just be okay with it. Let people, you know, some people want to promote, they don't. That's okay. That doesn't mean they don't want to be a part of it. And maybe they'll do posts
Some are
after.
just bad on social media. They just don't do social media.
So I've had to go inside myself and be like, you know what? Don't be upset. Don't let it get to you. Just if they don't want to post, that's okay. They don't have to. But what it has done is those that do post and do support and do promote, and sometimes it's people that didn't even get selected in the show. I had a friend the other day, like 2 days ago, that did a big post on her story with the ticket link and everything. And that's the funny part with ticket links. Some people don't know how to include a ticket link on the story. But she did a whole post for me. I never asked for it. I was like, man, you know, thank you so much. Like, would you be interested in coming? Like, for you doing that, I want to give you a free ticket. She's like, oh, I'm actually going to be out of town. I just want to support you because you're my friend. I was like, thank you. I was like, you know what? Like, I was like, my heart, like, remember when the Grinch's heart grew a little bigger? Like, that's what happened to me. I was
that
like,
gave you some peace.
Yeah, because I was sad because the other models weren't posting, but then this happened, and I was like, you know what? People really care about me, and I appreciate that. So what I've done now is like those that do promote it, I'm so grateful for them, and what I'm going to do for them is I'm gonna always make sure they're always invited to future events. They're always included into invite-only things, or you know, I'm gonna hook them up with some free tickets or free shirts or whatever. And the other ones that don't, that's okay. I'm like at peace with it. It's okay. It's all love. No worries. No worries. Might not get selected next time, but you might. You might get in. You never know. You never know. You never know. I'm playing. That has done. I'm playing. I'm playing. But because here's the part, I really did have to like offset the model selection process, like I was saying about the team, because when people come up to me, I want to be able to be like, hey, listen, yes, I'm a part of the team because I'll put inputs in. I'll be like, this person's really talented. I've seen them at fashion shows and stuff, but I let them to make the final decisions because I want people to know when they come up and say, why didn't I get selected? Was I not good enough?
I did not do the selection.
I'm just like, hey, that wasn't me. Take it up with the team.
I don't run it. I don't run it. That is literally my club. I don't run it.
It's not my department.
That is not my department.
Because it's hard because when you're the face and the MC and the social media thing, they think it's you're doing the whole thing. And I'm like, there is a team, there's a process. And maybe we're not the most professional. And, you know, it's not like we have a staff of full-time people. Like I have a full-time job and do this on the side. And to this day, I haven't really made money. I've poured more money into it than I have received. But the experience and the love and the joy I've gotten.
The community you've built, man, that's bigger than the money, bro.
Where's
bigger than the money.
Where's the after party for this one?
So what we decided to do for this one is, in previous fashion shows, we always do like an after party somewhere, right? And the hard part with that is you lose half your audience because people are waiting for Ubers and they don't know how to get there. And then the after party, they're like, do I have to pay cover and all these things? So you know what we said? The venue, Zuby Art Center, is like, they're going to have, we're giving them 100% of the alcohol sales. So to them, they're like, hey, the longer people are here, the more money they'll make. So I said, you know what? I was like, we lose so many people at after parties. We're going to do no after party. And so the fashion show, so this is, I'm glad we're talking about this because I would have forgot to talk about this.
Right.
Once the fashion show ends at 9:30, it turns into a Halloween party. And the DJ is going to keep playing and we have the venue till 11 p.m.
Wow.
So we're just going to, instead of everyone leaving and stuff, it's like, no, we're already here. We're at a beautiful venue. There's bathrooms, there's drinks. I've paid for 5 security guard police officers,
so
which
safe.
were not cheap.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, security is out. But I would rather overspend on security to make sure everyone's safe.
Yeah.
And that's the number one thing too, like with models and dressing rooms and stuff, I always like make them sign a code of conduct and stuff that says, hey, don't go into, like, if you're a male, we have a male dressing room. Female over here. Even if you're in that dressing room, please don't expose yourself to other people. Because, you know, sometimes, like, from what I've been told, because I always stay out of that whole thing. But it's like, you know, sometimes in a female dressing room, like, others might be comfortable changing in front of other others, females and stuff. But what you don't realize is that that other person you're changing in front of, even though you might feel comfortable, they don't.
Comfortable,
So what we have them sign a contract that says, if you're actually going to change, there's private, like, locked bathrooms or private dressing rooms. But in the dressing room part, it's like, do your makeup or whatever. So it's, you got to curate a safe environment because without that, the whole thing goes down.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it's like, okay, we got the after party. Then the cool part is the Zuby Art Center. So the doors open at 5 p.m. And the cool part we're doing with that is that it's like an open house thing where we have the the artists from the studio that are renting studios out are going to do like a trick-or-treating thing where it's like, it's an open house for people to explore the art museum, meet the artists, get little candy. And so it's like from 5 to 8 p.m., it's networking, it's, you know, meet the artist, it's pop-up vendors, pop-up shop. We have a bunch of vendors, so you can go buy things. And then fashion show starts at 8. It's going to be high energy. We're expecting 400 people. So it's going to be really crazy. And then after the fashion show at 9:30, bang, turns into the after party. And we're right there. And then you go home and you know, you thank God for another event, and you're like, we did it, you know? So
wow. No, I'm excited. I'm excited to be there. I told I only told him that we were gonna attend, so we'll definitely be there to support. We'll definitely be there to enjoy the whole show. I don't know about that runway yet, but we'll talk about that runway. We'll talk about that runway, man. But I think we are hitting our hour mark here, so I'm gonna start for us to kind of like wrap up here in a bit, and then, you know, get off set so we could chop it up more off camera, you know. So but before we do that, we've talked about your experience of coming to America, your adjusting to the system, starting the whole industry. What would you say is the biggest challenge you faced as an individual in Kansas City in the fashion industry?
I think the biggest challenge I faced was, in the beginning, everyone loves you because you're like this up and coming person that's starting to do things. But then once you host a few big events, all of a sudden now some people think that you're competition. And I wish I could just tell those people that we're not competition. In fact, I promote you guys. I would love to support all of the fashion shows, and I have. I've gone to all the fashion shows in Kansas City, and to this day, besides pretty much one, I go to every single fashion show and I'll promote them for free and I'll do these things. So I always want to support everyone else. And it's one of those things that's like, once you started to make some moves and get this thing, then people start to have opinions about you. And there's because I've heard people say it's like, well, his fashion shows are a little more local and they're not as professional or you know, little things like that. But it's like, okay, but the person giving me their opinion has actually never hosted a fashion show.
They're not doing anything.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, it's not like New York Fashion Week and it's not like this or something. It's like, yeah, it's not. But how was your fashion show? Yeah. Oh, wait, you didn't have one. So why are you giving me advice?
Why are you getting on mine? Yeah, wow.
And some people have, I mean, I've even heard people talk about where it's like, oh, well, you know, there's like musical stuff and it's all these other things where it's like, because some people want, like, a purist would say, we want it to be a fashion show and nothing else. They just want models walking. That's cool. That's cool. That's not our event. But that could be your event. And we'll come to your event and buy tickets, and that's cool. But I like supporting all the arts. I love dance, music, and the way I structure the run of show is that I always like to just start it off with high energy. So I'll come out, give a speech or whatever. We'll have someone open the show with me. I'm super thankful to my boy Dante Hall, who's opened up like 2 or 3 of our shows and given speeches. He's very generous about that. Doesn't ask for anything. It's just, we're so appreciative of it. So shout out Dante.
Shout out to Dante.
And it's like high energy, and then we boom, hit them with some models right off top, high energy up. Then we layer it in because it'll go models, then a singer, models, dancer, models, and then the charity will come out and give a speech, and then more models, and then another dancer or something creative. Like, you just never know. I mean, we have an Andy Reid impersonator who can sing classically trained opera. And he'll get up there and sing every once in a while. Like, you literally never know what you're. One time there's an organization called the KC Frenchie Club, shout out. They have French bulldogs that we had a part of the fashion show where we had 15 French bulldogs walk the runway with their owners. Yes, we had a whole line dedicated to the KC Frenchie Club where each French bulldog had its own outfit. One of them had Louis Vuitton on the French bulldog.
Frenchie got more drip than me.
I was like, I just like doing that because it's fun, it's creative, and that's the thing with the Halloween fashion show. I'm like, I've looked it up online. I've seen a few other online, like in the country, where they'll do a Halloween fashion show, but it's like for kids. I've never seen anyone do what we're doing, where it's like adults and models and all that stuff. And when you see the visuals, like, I really think the Halloween fashion show can almost live like an entity of its own that could be in other towns and stuff if you wanted it to, because it's so unique from a typical fashion show. So that's the thing. If you're there in Kansas City on Thursday, October 31st on Halloween night, please come join us at the Kansas City Tonight Halloween fashion show. We're going to have 50 plus models and designers. Well, actually, there's no designers. But we're going to have 50 plus models, performers, entertainers, some special guests. We actually have KC Sunshine. I want to shout him out. He's one of the most talented Michael Jackson impersonators in the country. This is an exclusive. I was keeping this as a secret, but for the CruiseLine podcast.
Hey, y'all heard it here first. Y'all heard it here first.
For the CruiseLine podcast, it's a special exclusive. I'm saying we have a guy named KC Sunshine, incredibly talented. He has a master's degree in dance and performing arts, and he's been doing Michael Jackson impersonations for years. He's been on America's Got Talent like 3 times, on TV, performed on huge stages as Michael Jackson. And here's the thing, I found him because I think Thriller is one of the greatest Halloween songs ever made. Maybe songs, period. Because it changed the world when that came out. If you remember the music video, it changed pop culture. So I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. I'm a huge Thriller fan. And I was just Googling Thriller and remixes, and I'm like, what? I want to get this in the show or whatever. And it led me to find on Google, it was like Michael Jackson impersonator. And then it said Kansas City, Missouri. I was like,
there's no way he's in Kansas City.
So I got him on the phone. We had a FaceTime, and he's going through all of his stuff, America's Got Talent. And I'm like, wow. And I was like, would you consider, and he performs Thriller like on TV, like on America's Got Talent as his main thing, was a full-blown production Thriller with backup dancers and everything. And he even connected with like the costume designer that made Michael Jackson's famous red leather jacket and got a custom fit to his size, KC Sunshine. He got a custom fit jacket, Thriller jacket, made to his size with the same thread count, buttons, all that stuff as Michael Jackson's actual jacket from the actual costume designer. This guy don't play around.
He do not play.
And I'm proud to announce that he's going to be performing Thriller at the Halloween fashion show with backup dancers. Full on Michael Jackson. I mean, it's going to be the highlight of the night. Besides you guys walking out of the fashion show, of course. If
JG say this one more time, man. But yeah, I guess we'll make it happen. I'm coming to see MJ, JG. It means I gotta sit. I gotta chill. You can't.
He can moonwalk. Like, he's an actual. So what he told me, he's like, hey, I don't sing, even though he said he can sing. So I believe him. But he's like, that's not my main talent. It's dance and performing arts.
Yeah.
That's what he got his
Yeah.
degree in
Yeah.
and stuff. And so he's like, I can moonwalk. I was watching videos. He can like
Wow.
legitimately
Like, do the
moonwalk.
actual
He
moonwalk.
can do, you know what I'm saying? Like the kick and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
he's
yeah.
him.
He legit.
And I'm just so excited. Like, I have thanked him so much for
Yeah.
doing this. And we're like, I just can't believe he's in Kansas
Right,
City.
right,
And here's the
right.
craziest part, right? So we're talking, we're on this FaceTime, and you know, I'm half Portuguese. My biological father is
Yeah.
from Portugal, and even though we're not considered Hispanic, we relate to Hispanics a
Right.
lot because, you know, a lot of the same cultural
Right.
values and
Right.
big family dinners,
Right.
and similar to Italians and stuff. Portuguese is beautiful, right? Here's the crazy part, right? So I've connected with a lot, you know, I love my Latinas and Latino people like so much. Like, I really have a lot of love for everyone.
Right.
But I feel like we can really, and I love Mexican
Yeah,
food,
yeah.
of course. But I can't remember how it got brought up, but he was telling me about, you know, he's Hispanic and all this
Right.
stuff.
Wow.
And I was like, well, you know, my favorite cafe, you know, coffee shop in Kansas City is called the Cafe Corazon. And he was like, oh yeah, well, that's actually my family's cafe.
wow.
I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Your family is part of Cafe Corazon? And he was like, yeah. He's like that's my, like, I don't know how do you say
Wow.
it. What's uncle in Spanish? It's like, Nino, or I'm a mess.
Right.
They're gonna roast me for this, but he's like, that's my family's company. He's like,
Right.
I'm there like 3 times a week, and I was like, that's crazy because I'm friends with the daughter that owns the thing, and her name is
world.
Dulcinea. Shout out to Dulcie. And he's like, yeah, Dulcie's my cousin. We grew up together. I love her.
Small
Dulcie's walked in multiple of our other fashion shows. Walked in our last Halloween fashion show, and I had invited her to walk in this Halloween fashion show, not even knowing that her cousin is the
Was the
Michael Jackson impersonator that I'm on the phone with.
That's
So
small world.
I'm asking him if he'll perform at a show that I've already invited his cousin to be
Right,
a part of.
right.
I'm like, this can only happen in
Right,
Kansas City.
right,
Like,
right.
it's
Yep.
crazy.
Wow. Small world, man. Small world. It means it was meant to be.
Yeah.
It was meant to be, man.
Shout out to Cafe Corazon.
Man.
Go check them out. Beautiful family. Coffee is so good. They actually just got broken into recently. So
that's
someone broke
sad.
the glass.
Yeah.
So shame on you
Yeah.
for those that broke into them, because that's a small business
Yeah.
from a Hispanic family that's
Yeah.
doing a lot for this community.
Right.
So
Yeah.
shout out to Dulcie.
Where
and
can they find Cafe?
Cafe Corazon on Instagram. They're the greatest in Kansas City. They got multiple locations, Crossroads, Westport, and it's really a beautiful family. Like,
gotta
it's
try
all
their
it's
coffee.
all a family
Yeah.
affair. Like, Dulcie, her husband Chris is an amazing guy. He plays for the Comets.
Yeah.
And the parents are always there. They're so nice. Like, they'll give me a hug, and like, I don't even really
Yeah.
know me, but like, they're just so loving,
Loving
like that. that I'm
family.
like-
Yeah, yeah.
And then now
Wow.
I found out that their cousin is the most
MJ.
talented performer around, and I'm like,
MJ.
it just makes sense.
Wow, that's crazy, man. Y'all heard it here first. I know it's been 3 weeks, but I told y'all the 3-week break was gonna be worth it because
Yep.
JG came in and dropped all the gems. And I know you guys have learned a lot. It's been a beautiful session. JG, are there any last words you want to tell the Cruise Line family before we get off set today?
Absolutely. I just want to first thank King, Nana, and the Cruise
we're
Line
humbled.
family for having me on here. And most importantly, for those that are in Kansas City, if you're looking for something to do on Thursday, October 31st, that is Halloween night, come out to the Halloween Fashion Show presented by Kansas City Tonight. There's going to be 50 plus models and performers, musical acts, dancers. I got some special guests that you're not going to want to miss. So get those tickets and come soon, because 25% of the tickets goes to a nonprofit supporting local, artists in the community. So please get your tickets and come out. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be a movie, and we would love for you guys to be there. And you might actually see these two great gentlemen right here on the runway, and y'all got to comment and like and tell them that they have to watch. Otherwise, you ain't coming. So.
Shout out JG, man. But again, Thursday the 31st of October, we are in Kansas City, hosted by Kansas City Tonight. That's going to be a wonderful fashion show that I'm excited for. I've been seeing the posters, seeing the promo, and I can't wait to even contribute to that myself, so we're totally excited for that. And we'll talk about this runway situation,
Okay.
JG.
Okay.
But anyway, on the Cruise Line podcast, it's basically the two brothers from West Africa, Ghana, moving to America on a cruise ship, coming here, figuring it out.
I was wondering what the title,
Well, that was the
I wanted to
connection.
ask too. So yeah.
We're doing a little play on words,
Yeah, a little pun.
But so what we like to do is make the sound of the cruise ship, which is like the paw sound every time, you know. So now that you're indoctrinated into the CruiseLine family, on 3, we're gonna make the sound of the boat. Are you ready,
Okay,
JG?
hold on. You gotta give me what's an example like or Okay.
So on 3, we're gonna pull the horn and let them know we're on a cruise ship and we're heading to you on Thursday the 31st for the Halloween party. 3, 2, 1. Paw. That was a good one.